Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today, before anybody says anything, you might notice my face looks a little odd. And this is just a PSA, public service announcement. Guys, be really careful with your allergies. You may start with a mild allergy, but as you go along with repeated exposure, you can have a real problem. So I've shared before, I have an intolerance to soy or an allergy of sorts, and it has progressed because, hello, soy is in everything, over time till I am starting to have like swelling reactions. Never had any trouble breathing, but yeah, I've had a huge poofy face for 2 days. So thankfully I was ahead on videos. It is Wednesday here, and I already have Thursday's videos, so this will probably be Saturday's video. So as promised, we are going to be making one pot spaghetti. But before we do that, I have to do my 2 shout outs. So first I want to shout out a channel that I really love, guys. And if it's not your thing, if you don't like vintage and retro, it's still really fun to watch. Like, I aspire to have their level of housekeeping. It is the cleanest place. It's called Crazy for Retro. I'll leave a link in the description box. The 4 is the number 4. It's Peggy Lou and Norm too. And they have an amazing 30-year collection, primarily mid-century modern, so 50s, 60s. And they take you along. They live in Minnesota, and they take you along on their hunts. It is so much fun to watch, and they're kind of a hoot. I happened upon them totally by accident. I was looking for, I think, Halloween decorations. Oh my word, guys, do they ever have them? So go over, show them some love. If you like that kind of video, subscribe, tell them Kim from the Wellness Homesteader sent you. Now, I don't want to offend anybody with my subscriber shout outs, but I figure I have enough of y'all that I can systematically go down the list. So today I want to do a shout out to my faithful subscriber, Betty. And Betty, you have sent me so many very kind and sweet private messages, given the situation that's been going on with my mom, that I truly appreciate. And I appreciate the time you take to watch. I appreciate all of you. I wish I could name all of you, but I don't want to offend anybody by leaving somebody out, and invariably I would. So we are over at the stove, and let me turn a light on here. And there are about 1 million ways you can make this, guys. I do like the versatility of this dish. So my sis wrote out the recipe for me, so she has like killer handwriting, so I'm sure I can read this. So most people make this with ground beef. Growing up, that's the only way I had it. But being the hot and spicy girl, I like Jimmy Dean hot and spicy sausage instead. You could use ground turkey, you could use ground chicken. I don't think it would be very good without any sort of meat, but you could use faux meat. And I just put the roll in here, and I'm using my meat breaker to, I can't remember which way I turn this. Get that little piece of sausage off my hand. Pretty bad when you've had this stove for like, I don't know, ever, and you can't remember which way to turn it. I think I need to go that way. All right, so Jimmy Dean is extraordinarily lean. Like, there will be no grease in this whatsoever. So I am going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there so it does not stick to my enamel coated cast iron. And guys, I will share with you, I might have burnt something in this pan, and it's going to discolor over time. Just expect it. Don't think it's something you're doing wrong. That's seasoning. But I took one of my magic erasers, and guys, that took it right off with like a lot of elbow grease too. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. Always read the directions on your particular manufacturer. I'm pretty sure this is a Lodge. This is the only bad thing about a meat breaker. It has a tendency to stick on there. And I have chopped up one pretty good size onion, actually. My onions are getting beyond themselves, and so I decided just to use the whole one. And my stove is clean, so I'm not too worried. So did y'all make it through the snow and ice? It didn't even create a bump in the road here in Ohio. I knew something big was coming. And I don't know, drop me a comment below. Do you have this in your state? They've been using a lot of beet juice here. So what they do is they can get out ahead of the storm, which is really great, and they'll either put a salt solution or a salt and beet juice. And I think the beet juice is primarily being used for ice conditions. So we have lovely pink slushy stuff when they do use the beet juice. So I knew when I saw the stripes, we were probably in for some weather. So what you want to do with this beef and onion is you want to get it nice and brown, fully cooked through. Get some caramelization going on that meat, because that will add a ton of flavor. So while that's hanging out for a minute, let me just read you the ingredient first. So a pound of ground meat of your choice, 1 small onion or large, 1 can cream of mushroom soup, and I want to tell you about that, a can of cream of tomato, 20 ounces canned tomatoes. Now what I do, this is a quart, so I'm going to drain the liquid off, just use the tomatoes. I've made it this way many times. And then I will add water, because you need 1 3/4 cup of liquid, 2 teaspoons or so of Worcestershire, 6 drops or a couple glugs of Tabasco, red pepper flakes, and 6 ounces of spaghetti. So if you want more spaghetti in it, just increase your water, because when you start making this, you can be like, did she tell me the wrong measurements? Because it's like soup. Trust me, it will firm up. So, in my humongous pantry, guys, I didn't have any cream of mushroom soup. No worries. There's a little grocery here in town. They had no cream of mushroom soup. The shelves were virtually empty. Now, that doesn't upset me too much, because that store's kind of good for that. So I ended up having to go to the Dollar General, but they did have it. So I am still seeing some odd supply chain issues. Are you guys? I'm really interested to know. Somebody posted, it was on Facebook, I can't tell you which group, their Weggers, big grocery store. And guys, it was ghost town. But sometimes in anticipation of inclement weather, it'll get cleared out before the truck. But I think we're still going to see some supply chain issues. I don't want this meat so fine that you're like, is that meat? So once I get it kind of broken up, I'm going to switch to the spatula. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is I so appreciate that you guys laugh along with me, because I do some dingy things sometimes. It's not that I'm not intelligent, I just do dingy things. So, have any of you all, you've got to share your story. Please, please, please. Have you ever been to the Goodwill bins? So I've seen it on YouTube. So basically what it is a Goodwill distribution center, is what it says. And it's just like these rolly cart bins. They're only about that deep. And every so many minutes, they bring out a rolly bin. I'm like, I got this, right? I'm a short girl, but I can be assertive, right? Guys, let me tell you, was it worth it? Absolutely, yes. Let me share that. And I'll have to share what I found. Was it an experience? It definitely was. I have never been so grateful for a mask to mask the odor. Now, it could have been just that one. And it wasn't the articles that they were selling. All the way around this huge warehouse were men, primarily, with carts. And they had like sheets thrown over it. And I was like, wait, I didn't get the bring your own blankie memo. What was that? So finally I like asked this girl, and she's like, oh yeah, they're metal pickers. So every time a new bin comes out, watch out, because they will swoop. And they did. But I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever smelled that level of BO in my life. And, you know, by halfway through, you're kind of going, is that me, right? There was also the odor of gas. So I don't know if the men were creating like a wall of stink around themselves. And I'm not bashing men, guys, at all, because there may have been a few ladies participating. But it was the foulest smelling experience I have been through. And I have a very sensitive nose. Like if I ever get COVID, I'll know immediately because I won't be able to smell. But anyway, so after a few rounds, you know, kind of get in the groove. So the back of the bins I couldn't reach. And I'm like, I need to find myself a tall person that doesn't smell too bad. And these weren't homeless people, guys. They just were stinky. I did find a tall man, and I found 2/3 of a Victorio strainer. It's missing the pusher and the crank is all. So I ordered a crank off Amazon. Want, doesn't fit. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research or maybe go to eBay. And that was did I say $2? Because it was $2. But literally, like I could see the big bowl that you push the fruit through, but I couldn't reach it. And it was in the middle, so I'm like, need me a tall man. Oh, hi. Can you reach that for me? He's like, what do you want with this? It's a bowl with a hole in it. And I'm like, oh, it's part of something I will use for my canning. So he was very nice. We had a nice little visit, and seemed quite normal and smell-free, which was always a plus. So I also found a gorgeous, I'll do my outro by it, mid-century modern lamp. Took my Brasso, shined that bad boy up. Got a shade for it. $2. Beautiful. So you can find bargains. I also found, I don't know, for like $1/4, a tablecloth. I wasn't sure if it would cleaned up beautifully. So, yeah, to be kind of willing. Next time I'm going to put like a peppermint in my mask or something, because it was bad, guys. I'm telling you, it's bad. So drop me a comment below. What's the best thing you've ever found at the Goodwill bins, if you've been? Okay, I'm going to let this kind of caramelize a little bit more. I am going to add my own touch. So I'm going to put a little bit of garlic powder. If you like to add salt, there's so much salt in the soup, I'm not going to add any salt. And some Worcestershire, so garlic Worcestershire. And I will save the heat in the chili flakes till closer to the end. So I'll bring you back shortly. Okay, guys, we have some good caramelization going on our meat. Let me tip you. Wow, I stink at this. Well, doggone me. Here we go. And even adding a little bit of olive oil, you can see there is no fat to speak of in this meat mixture. So what are we going to do next? Wait for it. We're going to put in an entire undiluted can of tomato soup. An entire can of cream of mushroom. And I would say if you don't like mushrooms, you might be able to use like cream of celery. I've never done that because girl doesn't like celery. Okay. So now we've got this creamy goulashy looking mixture here. And I am going to open my home canned tomatoes. And I have shared, I always smell, guys, oh, it smells like summer. I've shared this little device before. It's in like the 99-cent bin at Walmart. But I am going to drain my tomatoes as well as I can. Now, I will tell you these tomatoes were cold packed, which means I did not add any liquid at all. Wow. It's straight up just tomatoes. So whatever's coming out is a juice, so to speak. All right, so let's pop those in. And now I am going to go over and grab some of my home canned tomato juice to make my 1.5 cups of liquid. So let me pause you a moment. Sorry guys, I wasn't recording. So what I've done here is I've added my quart of tomatoes. Not sure what I captured, what I didn't. 1 3/4 cup of tomato juice, some garlic, granulated garlic, and some chili flakes. And I just used the crushed red pepper, I'm sorry, and granulated garlic. It was all going so well. So you do want this to boil before you start putting in your spaghetti. And what I have here, I weighed this. This is 6 ounces, so I don't know, what is that, like 1.25 inches worth of spaghetti. The real key here is just to make sure you have enough liquid for your spaghetti. That's the only magic about this. You can add anything you really like to it that you like to put in your spaghetti. I've never added cheese. It is a thicker, it's more like a goulash. So it comes out a little bit thicker, but it's oh so good. So let me get this up to a boil and I'll bring you right back. Okay guys, we are at a low simmer. So what I'm going to do here is just start breaking and stirring in the spaghetti. You didn't hear that hit the floor, right? Come on, Incredible Hulk. Okay. I hate big, long pieces of spaghetti, so I try to break it in fourths. So at this point, you might be like, oh my word, it's way too watery. Actually, to me, it looks a little on the thick side. So I'm going to thin it down just a little bit. So we have our sausage, onion, cream of mushroom, cream of tomato, quart of tomatoes, 1 3/4 cup liquid, which I use tomato juice, about a tablespoon of Worcestershire, a couple big glugs of sriracha, some red pepper flakes, and 6 ounces of spaghetti. So what we need to do now is simmer this. So I'm going to turn it all the way down to low. We're going to cover it, excuse my read, and we're going to set our timer for 35 minutes. And we will reevaluate at that point in time to see if the spaghetti is tender and done. You do want to stir it pretty frequently, at least at first, to keep your spaghetti from, clumping together. So I will bring you back when it's finished and we'll give it a taste test. Okay, guys, 35 minutes have elapsed and we have a pot of delicious one-pot spaghetti. So I did add extra liquid to mine, so if yours is a little thicker, don't despair. But let's dish up a batch. And I am going to take you over and show you my new lamp, and we'll give this a taste test. Okay, guys, here it is, my $2 beauty from the bins. So this was black and Brasso cleaned it right up. I probably could do a little more work here on the brass, but works like a charm. $2 plus the shade. So let's get back to what we were doing today here. Let's give our one pot spaghetti a taste test. So, whew, screaming hot, guys. I think what makes this so different from just your normal spaghetti with meat sauce, number one is the heat. I did put plenty of heat in it, but it has that very creamy sauce. So it's a little bit different than, say, out of the jar or even homemade spaghetti sauce, because we're putting those cream of tomato and cream of mushroom soup in. Hearty, filling, delicious. I highly recommend it. Drop me a comment below. Are you going to give the one pot spaghetti a try? Don't forget it freezes well. The little bit of tomato juice I had left, I will probably add a little bit to the freezer containers because it does seem to thicken up a little bit after it sits. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I've certainly enjoyed spending time with you. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and smash that like button. If you know someone doing a pantry challenge that would like this recipe, please share my video. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and I'll see y'all very soon. Take care.